Welcome, everyone, to this special interview with the winner of the 2022 Arrell Global Food Innovation Award for Community Engagement. And the winner is Access Agriculture. During this session, we're going to learn more about Access Agriculture and the work they do to improve food systems in communities. My name is Rene Van Acker. I'm Dean of the Ontario Agricultural College at the University of Guelph, which hosts the Arrell Food Institute. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Abdul to introduce himself.
My name is Abdul-Rahim Abdulai. I'm a PhD student and an Arrell Food Scholar here at the University of Guelph.
I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement. The University of Guelph is on the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit and is part of the Land Between the Lakes Purchase. It's Treaty Number 3. The Dish with One Spoon Covenant, made between the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas, is an agreement to share territory and protect these lands, now known as parts of Ontario, Quebec, and New York State. The covenant reminds us of our common connection to the land and to each other. Recognizing the contributions and importance of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people is an important part of our collective commitment to make the promise of truth and reconciliation real in our communities. I again will turn it over to Abdul to introduce our guests.
Okay, thank you very much, Rene. It's my pleasure to formally introduce Josephine, Paul, and Jane from Access Agriculture. Access Agriculture is a nonprofit organization that works directly with communities, groups to produce and deliver high-quality farmer-to-farmer training videos. The video resources actually help farmers provide them informative and relevant content with regards to their farming activities. The organization helps to ensure videos are available in local languages and accessible to smallholder farmers, even in remote areas where technology and power and internet are limited. Over the last decade, the videos have reached 90 million farmers all over the areas that they cover and have helped these farmers ensure healthier and more resilient food systems. In fact, I might say congratulations on winning the Arrell Global Food Innovation Award for community engagement, and thank you for joining us today. So Jane, Josephine, and Paul, I'll turn it over to you. Can you give us a brief introduction about yourselves?
Okay, I'll start off. My name is Josephine Rogers. I'm the Executive Director of Access Agriculture, and I'm one of the co-founders. Access Agriculture was started, in fact, just 10 years ago. So I'll hand across to Jane.
I'm Jane Nalunga, and I'm the team facilitator for entrepreneurs. This is where we encourage youth to work with agriculture. I hope everybody will understand that agriculture is not only concerned with production of food, but being engaged in other activities that promote production, marketing, and support services in agriculture. So in this program, we encourage the youth to take extension closer to the farmer using Access Agriculture videos, which are farmer training videos.
Over to Paul.
Okay, my name is Paul Van Mele. I'm Director International Development at Access Agriculture, also one of the co-founders, and I'm in charge of fundraising, strategic partnerships, and also I play a role in backstopping our wide network of local video production partners that work directly with farmers to produce quality content.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Joe, Jane, and Paul, and congratulations again. As recipients of this award, Access Agriculture and all of its partners around the world have clearly made an impact. We'd like to ask you some questions to learn more about the work that you do and the communities that you work with. And so Abdul and I are going to alternate some questions, and we will leave it to you to jump in and answer or pass to each other to answer questions as you see fit. But we're looking forward to really getting a deeper sense of what it is that you do and how you make an impact. So first question I'd like to ask is, what are some of the challenges that farmers are facing today, and how does Access Agriculture and its work help address these challenges?
Thanks, Rene. Well, there's various challenges that farmers face nowadays. Some actually have a long-term perspective. For instance, globalization has been a key challenge, with local markets often being flooded by cheap imported food, putting farmers under tremendous strain. Now, climate change obviously is another one. So farmers are faced with changing weather patterns, highly unpredictable weather extremes often. So they are forced often to look at what new crops, what new farming systems need to be established, what new cropping practices are required to be able to cope with such weather extremes. Soil degradation in many developing countries, soil organic matter has dropped below 1%, even below 0.5%. So the degradation of soils is a huge problem. The loss of biodiversity, I mean, it's often something that is invisible to many of us, but the insect population has decreased dramatically. So this is posing a lot of challenges that are not always visible to farmers, like the availability of beneficial insects, either for pollination or for natural crop protection. So those are like, let's say, the hidden challenges. There's also institutional challenges. Often farms do not have, and those challenges have been around for decades, and farmers do not have access to quality information. They risk losing their autonomy because the only advice that they get is from pesticide dealers. And the biggest investment, biggest money is from multinational companies promoting agrochemicals. And obviously that often is the only advice that farmers get. So autonomy is a big challenge. But then, as we have seen recently, also the vulnerability to shocks, whether it's COVID crisis. I mean, that farmers are struggling to produce, to sell, to market their produce, labor shortages. The recent war in Ukraine has also, I think, been another wake-up call, how vulnerable local communities are. And I think this is also where Access Agriculture tries to play a role, is to provide farmers, communities, grassroots organizations, but also media houses with quality information that can inform people about the importance to support and to strengthen local food production, because we cannot always rely on external markets. Every community has to take care of their own land and their own landscape, their own nature. And therefore, I think it's very important that we feed these quality training videos into the communities through as many possible ways as possible.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, it strikes me the universality of the challenges that you're speaking to. And at the core of that, access to independent and high quality and trusted information is just so vital. I'll pass it to Abdul, who I think has another question related.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. In fact, as Rene mentioned, the problems and the challenges farmers face are actually very universal. But of course, it also means that doesn't undermine the fact that there are actual challenges that are very place-based and very contextual, based on like the type of farming people do. And I know that some of the work that you do is actually centered around producing videos for farmers. And in fact, just a bit of a digression. When I saw the announcement about Access Agriculture, I did a little bit of reading around, I went to the website. I was trying to actually find out what Access Agriculture really does. And I found that they do produce videos. And what really caught my attention was actually the production of videos actually using farmers and using local languages that the farmers can relate to. And as I was going through the website, I came across a video that was produced from my own language from northern Ghana, which is Dagbanli. That was talking about some of the pressing issues that are very specific to the area, where they were trying to educate farmers in terms of how to manage livestock production in relation to crop production within an area in order to, in fact, allow these two systems to complement each other, which was really fascinating to me. And so I must compliment you for some of the work that you are doing. But like I mentioned, what it caught my attention was actually including and centering farmers in the process. So my question in a very simple form would be why do you think it's important to involve farmers in terms of when you are producing your videos?
Okay, if I jump in here, I mean, it's critical, it's crucial, and it's integral to all the videos that we make. I mean, farmers have such incredible, fantastic knowledge. A lot of it is indigenous knowledge that often has not been captured, but also it's building on that with some of the research that has been going on that can almost, in some cases, enhance or explain why sort of indigenous practices work in so many situations. And I think it's the way we start off with making videos is that we talk to farmers first. And the farmers are not the ones making the video. The videos are made by teams that have been trained and understand how to create farmer-to-farmer videos. But the farmers are involved right from the very start. And at every stage, whether it's the research, the scripting, the information is peer reviewed, not just by experts, in inverted commas, but also by farmers. Because the most important thing is that it's very practical information, but also involved in that is explanations of why things are done. Because if you have that within the video and the farmers themselves, that they have the experience of showing and doing the practices that are being talked about, then they can explain it in ways that everybody can understand. And the other thing is that, when a farmer, even say in Africa, if they're looking at farmers that are doing a practice from India or Latin America, they know they're farmers. A farmer recognizes another farmer. These are not people pretending to do something or being told to do things in a certain way. These are farmers that have real experience, and that comes across. So the farmers, they really see the people that are on the videos as them. And I think you mentioned local language, and that is absolutely critical as well, that the videos that are made in a style that we can easily translate into local languages so that information can spread around the world. So it really is true South-South communication. But what I think is kind of really life-affirming to me is that when farmers see the videos in their language, as somebody said, they take ownership of it. So it might have been produced in India and they might be looking at it in northern Ghana, but because it's in their language, they can take ownership and they can see people doing things and go, right, those farmers have done that, I can do that. So it's really empowering. But it is the ownership because of the local language involvement. We're just at the start of the decade for Indigenous languages, and it's crucial. Local languages are so important. So yeah, it's seeing is believing. The farmers they see themselves. They can see themselves within those videos, and so it's without that, the videos would be nothing, to be perfectly honest.
One point I wanted to add is that the farmers whom we involve in the video production are actually all farmers that have been trained by local organizations on certain technologies, sustainable technologies, or on certain innovations related to marketing. So they have already been through a process of intensive training on a particular topic on which the video then will be produced. So that's I think a very important one. And therefore, as Joe said, farmers are really confident to show, to explain. They have made the technologies already work within their context, and they have understood why it is working, and they can explain this also to other farmers. And so I think that's a good thing. And with the local language, another, I think, important thing of farmer-to-farmer communication is that we cannot always rely on outsiders to bring information to farmers. Yeah, and our approach of farmer-to-farmer video in local language enables farmers to learn from their peers, irrespective of the country, in their own language. So without somebody explaining. And I think that's also, a very powerful support tool for unfacilitated learning. The facilitated learning is a bonus, but as we know, more than 90% of the farmers, they never see an extension officer in their lives. And so it's important to make quality learning tools available to farmers by letting farmers talk on video and present what they do.
Following, I think directly on that point, Paul, how do the videos reach farmers? Like, who do you work with, and how does that happen?
Yeah, I think I'll take on that one. The videos, all Access Agriculture videos are available on the Access Agriculture video platform in 7 international languages, but also in more than 90 local languages, and they are free for download. But not all farmers have access to the internet, and not all of them have access to power. In some places, there's no electricity. So we are very active on social media, making sure that we communicate whenever we have new videos and letting people know what is available. So they can also get the videos through their local organizations like NGOs and CBOs and our partners. But we also have what we call the Smart Projector. The Smart Projector contains the entire library of the Access Agriculture videos from our platform. And it comes as a kit, which also has a disk with the video library, but also a power bank so that it can be used where there's no power, but also a solar panel so that it can be charged without electricity. So this makes it very friendly, especially in rural areas. We have the entrepreneurs for rural access who help. They go with this Smart Projector to the rural areas and can support the farmers to learn even where they would not have been able to access the videos for learning.
I think if I can just add to that, when we first started 10 years ago, there were very, very few farmers registering on the platform to then download videos and share them. And that in the last few years, that really has changed drastically. I mean, yes, it's a testament to technology, but now sort of well over 50%, heading towards 60% of people that register, they say that they are farmers. So that really has been a major sea change. But, these are people that they don't keep it to themselves. I mean, they all share, whether it's, family, communities, it's one person may download a video, but then it's definitely shared sort of many, many times. And every 3 years we do a survey, and we're always sort of quite surprised that, what people are doing and who they're sharing with and how many organizations they're sharing with. Some share with, almost sort of getting on to hundreds of organizations that they then share with and spread the word out that way. So you know, we don't know everyone and everything that is happening with the videos. And I think, personally, I think that's great, you know, because it gives us lots of nice surprises. But that's what it should be. That is what it should be. You know, we shouldn't sort of be trying to sort of pinpoint and know every single bit of sharing and partners and everyone involved, because it should be that information needs to get out there. I think the other thing is that often people forget is that, you know, many people, many farmers, they actually do have family and friends who are studying or working abroad. And they may have easier access to the internet. And we know from the registrations that in many cases, you know, the comment of where did you hear about access agriculture? Well, sort of, you know, my friend or my brother or sister sort of who's in Canada or Europe, you know, they told me about it. So there's kind of that diaspora effect sort of comes into it as well. You know, technology will always be changing and sort of hopefully for the better, not always, but hopefully. But it's the quality content. I mean, that's what really matters. And whatever the technology is, you still need to have good content. And that's basically where we come in.
Yeah, maybe adding to what Joe said, the quality content is also becoming really attractive for a new, let's say, a new industry of regional TV stations. Yeah. Like 10, 20 years ago, you only had national TV stations or mainly national TV stations. Now you see a boom of regional, locally based TV stations. And just to give an example, for Malawi, for instance, I know the TV stations, to renew their annual license, they need to be able to show to the authorities that they screen or broadcast 70% of their content as local content. So it has to be local content. And luckily for us, a video from West Africa or from Latin America, translated into the languages of Malawi, it qualifies as local content. And so this is another way for us, and it touches also on one of the challenges that I mentioned. To strengthen local food system resilience, we also need to engage with the consumers. And to reach the consumers, it's like a society approach. Everybody is a consumer. You are a consumer, I am a consumer. We are all consumers. And the best way to reach out to them is also through mass media. So we are also engaging a lot with rural radio stations. We are engaging with local TV stations, also with digital service providers. I mean, as Joe said, the digital services are booming in many countries. There's also digital platforms being created. And that for us also offers opportunities to engage with these digital service providers, as long as they are in line with the philosophy of promoting agroecology and not promoting agrochemicals.
And I think if I could just, Paul mentioned their local radio. I mean, local radio is so important. You know, and the radio stations, we do contracts with them, very simple ones, but they can download the audio files of the videos and use them sort of as part of their programming that can then start a conversation with farmers, with agricultural advisors as well, you know, and it's a way of starting a conversation, and then people can find out where they can actually see the video. So the audio side and local radio stations are a really important way of communicating.
Thank you. You seem to have very interesting and diverse ways of actually sharing your videos. I'm wondering, like, what success story can you share with us with regards to the work you have been doing the last, couple of years?
Okay, Abdul-Rahim, maybe starting from the global perspective, as Joe mentioned, we have been conducting online surveys every 3 years to collect feedback from the users of our videos and our platform. And last, I think 21 was the last survey, with nearly 3,000 people from more than 100 countries taking the survey. And they indicated that the impact on rural communities, they said, well, half of them responded that the yields have improved if farmers watch the videos. Soil health was a very important one, improved pest management, improved food and nutrition. I think more than 40% mentioned that as an impact. I think those are important elements of success stories, if you want. It's not just at the grassroots, at the local level, but I think also at the global level. And so some of these indicators, they're really exciting. Like there's also social innovations, involvement of youth. I think that's a very important. I think nearly 40% of the people mentioned that by bringing videos into communities, you have a possibility to involve youth into agriculture. And also the appreciation of local knowledge. Joel already mentioned that our videos, they always try to also embed indigenous knowledge in it, not just like new practices. And it's this combination of content and the respect that we pay to local farmers and their knowledge, is that it also triggers a mindset. And I think, again, looking at food systems, this is important, not just creating changes at the farmer, the community level, but also among the service providers, even among researchers. I think there's lots to be done. And so having this capacity or possibility to change mindset through farmer to farmer video, I think is one of our important successes. But I will hand over to Joe to tell a bit about some other specific success stories that she wants to share.
I mean, we have thousands, I think, is the answer. So it's always difficult to sort of pick out one, a few to just give you a flavour. I think one that always stands out to me is one of our earliest entrepreneurs, a young man called Simon Adriko. He's in the northern part of Ghana, and where they've got large refugee camps, and he has a smart projector and he uses the videos in the refugee camps. Both inside actually and outside, so northern Uganda. So he, within the refugee camps, he can show videos in languages he doesn't understand. So he can show videos in Arabic and in French. He doesn't understand them, but because they're on the smart projector, and obviously there's English versions on there as well, so he knows what the videos are saying, but it enables him, because they're in the other languages, to actually show them. And one of the things that he did as a result of showing the videos, he encouraged people to start growing vegetables in small spaces using these sack mounds, so that the refugees in the camps could actually grow their own fresh vegetables and in some cases start small businesses as well. But that's just one example that has a real impact on people where they're displaced. An interesting aside is that sack mound video for growing vegetables was actually one of the most downloaded ones during lockdown. Again, people couldn't move out, so how do you grow new your own fresh vegetables when you're in those kind of situations? Just keeping within northern Uganda, I mean, I mentioned refugees and what Simon is doing, but there's also a situation where people come back to land. So in the northern part of Uganda, there were a lot of young people that came back after the Lord's Resistance Army was subdued. This is going back a few years, but these people, in many cases, their parents had died, their grandparents had died, they had never farmed the land. So how do you start? And there was obviously work being done by NGOs up in that area, but there was also work with private companies. And one of them was really wanting to grow organic, get farmers to grow organic chili and sesame. And these young people had never grown it. Plus they didn't know the land either. So, but using the videos again on the smart projector and in local language. I mean, the numbers were quite staggering. I mean, in just sort of 2-3 years, they got up to 80,000 farmers trained and producing chili and sesame. And one of the big advantages with chili is that you can crop it every 2 weeks. So it meant that there was income really coming into that area. So, you know, that's two big stories that kind of have always stood out to me. But there was another one that sort of we learned sort of relatively recently. And this was a young woman in Kenya, a young mother, and she was concerned herself about the safety and quality of food she was feeding her own young family. And so she wanted to start growing organic. That she did, and she was also searching around, obviously a very enterprising young lady, searching around for information. She came across Access Agriculture and the videos and basically found them to be a really good resource. So she then started working with other young mothers in her community and sort of showing them some of the videos and some of the practices. And I mean, now she has a shop in Nairobi. She's not sort of on the edge of Nairobi, but she actually has a shop in Nairobi selling organic vegetables. But the nice sort of tie up with that, the entrepreneurs, is that now there is an entrepreneur in her area. And so she can engage that young entrepreneur to come and show the videos to the community in her area in their language, which is Kikuyu. So, you know, it's kind of one thing just kind of leads to another slowly. But Jane, I think there's so many stories that you could say. It's always really difficult.
I can see these benefits to the community have been replicated also in other areas. For example, Susan in Zambia is showing these farmer training videos in schools so that the teachers, together with the parents and students or pupils, can learn different technologies. And when they go back home, they practice, and other community members are also learning from them. And this has greatly impacted the food systems in the area. Yes.
Yeah, I think children sort of involvement in schools is kind of really so important, because they're the next generation of farmers, of, you know, processors, of marketeers, and leaders, you know, let's face it. So starting them off at a young age, sort of understanding the importance of environment and what it means in terms of growing produce, I think is so important.
Those are wonderful examples of success and impact. Access Agriculture has done such a great job in building your global network, not only farmers and community organizations, but also what I would call young agriculture and food entrepreneurs who may or may not be working in rural areas, depending on their businesses, or taking their businesses between rural and urban areas. Given what you do and your global reach and the magnitude of what you do, can you explain for us and our audience why building capacity is so important, and how it's so vital to have people working together in order to improve our food systems?
I'll start with a quote that I think really pictures nicely what we try to do. And it's a quote from the Chatham House report that was published last year. And Chatham House is Royal Institute of International Affairs in the UK. And in the report, one of the conclusions was that to turn the negative impact of agriculture on our climate, environment, and human health into a positive one, we need to urgently invest in an agriculture that works with nature, not against it. And so we need transformative action at a scale never seen before. And I think this is this importance of creating impact at scale is something that we take really close to our heart. We try, of course, work through as many organizations as possible, but it's building the capacities face to face is not always feasible. And what we try to do as an organization, so we are not implementing projects on the ground to create community impact. What we try to achieve with our organization is to become a value-adding organization that provides quality content that the entire system, all the organizations, anybody working in development can make use of. And that is, I think, the strength of our approach. With limited people, we can actually help to improve other people who are involved also in capacity building on the ground. Joe, Jane, anything you want to add on that?
Okay, what I would say is that this capacity building is very important, especially for the youth, because the youth are the future of agriculture. We realize that in most countries, most of the people involved in agriculture are old, but when they are gone, tomorrow we need a vibrant community of food system support people, and these are the youth. We need to build their capacity in terms of the knowledge and also technologies so that they can take our countries forward with better food production systems, but also bringing in new knowledge that can help improve productivity.
I mean, it's so important for young people to see that, you know, food production and food processing, you know, that can be a business. It can be, you know, something that is really worthwhile, but also that can really earn them a decent living. You know, otherwise sadly, you hear of so many places where young people have migrated to the towns and cities. And, you know, for a country and for the environment, that's really bad news. You know, we need young people to be able to see that sort of where they are and growing food and processing food and everything that goes around the food system, you know, is a future for them.
Yeah, so these are really interesting. And for personally, I've learned a lot about what Access Agriculture has been doing over the last, decade or so. I'm just wondering, is there anything else you would like our viewers to know about Access Agriculture and the work you do?
I think one of the things to get across is that we are there to help organizations, and so we are reaching out to anybody working in development who has agroecology at heart and building local food system resilience. Reach out to us. We have good resources already available, but always eager to expand also our video library. We are cost effective. We are a very small organization, only 25 people, yet we reach out to thousands of organizations, and we hope that you also will be reaching out to us whenever an opportunity arises. Thank you.
I think, we have, as Jane has said earlier, sort of over 90 languages on the website. But that's really only scratching the surface. There's an awful lot of languages that really sort of should be being supported, because it's important to keep languages alive as well. That's something that I really firmly believe in too. But we're celebrating 10 years, but we're celebrating with you, with the Arrell Award, which is fantastic. So as Paul said, come and talk to us if you find what we say interesting.
Well, thank you, Joe, Jane, and Paul, for your creativity, for your leadership, and for the impact you're making, and for spending time with us today to allow us to learn more about what you do and how you do it, and why it makes a difference. And thank you to the audience for joining us today. We hope that through this interview, you were able to gain some insight into what Access Agriculture does, and to be inspired by their story and their approach. And congratulations again on being the 2022 winner of the community engagement for the Arrell Global Food Innovation Award. So congratulations to Access Agriculture, and it's a pleasure to meet you, Joe and Jane and Paul, and thank you for being with us here today. And thank you, Abdul, for partnering with me to organize this interview.
From my side too, thank you, Joe, Paul, and Jane, for the work that you do. And again, congratulations on this important feat.
Thank you very much.